Hello and welcome to today's video. I'm Will Going, sports and performance nutritionist. And welcome to today's video. Today we're talking about how to fuel for Zwift racing. Let's roll that intro. That's right, welcome back. Thank you for tuning into my channel. I really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button if you are a first time listener, or if you have been listening for a while but haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. And also, if you didn't know, I still have a free Facebook group where I do a live Q&A every single week where you go in and you can talk to myself and ask me as many questions as you want. Every week, Thursdays at 5:30 Greenwich Mean Time. But enough of that, let's crack on with today's video. So, I'm going to go through the lead-in that you want to be doing for your Zwift race so you can perform your best. A great suggestion for a meal for you to have 2 to 4 hours before the start. Maybe something like oats, banana, raisins, and maple syrup. It might be a protein source like chicken, turkey, tuna, eggs potentially, but could be too high in fat if you have lots of whole eggs. Other fish does work as well, like cod or whitefish. To combine that with a carbohydrate source like rice, sweet potato, couscous, lentils, beans, any of these would work, but beans and lentils are going to be higher in fibre, so if you are prone to GI problems, I probably wouldn't opt for those. I really like to go for some chicken breast baked in a bag, so it's nice and tender and juicy, with some seasoning, and then some Moroccan couscous on the side, which is couscous with some orange juice, lime juice, coriander, and some raisins, and possibly some orange zest in it as well. And that's ideal, really zesty, really flavourful, full of micronutrients, and just a great meal. So that's 2 to 4 hours beforehand. We're then going to hydrate. 2 hours beforehand, we're going to have a bidon of water with electrolyte. And you're going to start sipping this through that next hour. So don't gulp, sip. Reason for this is water is absorbed better and more effectively if we sip it steadily rather than gulp it down. You can, if it is really important and you really want to go for it, take some nitrates on. But for a Zwift race, it might be a bit OTT. Then what we want to do is an hour beforehand, we want to have some caffeine. Caffeine is going to be to 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram body weight. If it's an evening Zwift race, I probably wouldn't do this because you're not going to sleep. But if it's a morning or an afternoon race, then, or an early evening race, going for the 3 milligrams is definitely going to improve your performance, and once again, decide how important that event is for you. Also, 1 hour out, if you're still passing dark in colour in your urine, then I would recommend having another bidon of water or a sports bottle of water with electrolyte. Then 5 to 30 minutes before the start of the session, I would look to get an additional carbohydrate source in of around 20 to 40 grams of carbohydrate. This could be anything you wanted. It could be one of my race flapjacks, linked down below. It could be a rice cake. It could be some saurine, it could be some fruit, it could be a sports drink. If you really wanted, it could be a gel, but I'd always opt for a more micronutrient dense option, especially if you're racing from home. If the race is under an hour, you probably won't need anything during this race because you'll be adequately fueled from that lead-in. But I would recommend hydrating and using some ice cold water to help keep your core temperature lower. And a lower core temperature is going to help because unless you have a fan, and even if you do, you're going to be really hot, so having something that's really ice cold is going to help keep your body temperature down, which will keep your heart rate down, and which will also help you perform harder and work harder. A little extra for you is maybe taking on some sodium bicarbonate if this race is once again really important for you. And how I would take that, you need to work out the total amount you need to take first, which would be 0.3 grams per kilogram body weight. Then with that dosage, you need to divide it into 2 servings. The first serving you're going to have 2 hours before the start of the race. The second serving you're going to have 1 hour before the start of the race. I would highly recommend also, if you are taking sodium bicarbonate, to take on a little bit of carbohydrate in your fluid when you are drinking that sodium bicarb, as it will help the absorption rate. The reason we're splitting those doses is because it's going to lower the potential GI distress that you could get from sodium bicarb. But I highly recommend, 1, you practice it, and 2, that when you do this, you do split that dose because it's going to be a lot better on your stomach. If your Zwift race is really early in the morning, I did another video about early morning training and pre-exercise nutrition, link in the corner. But in this case, just to briefly go over it, I would opt for something really simple and quick digesting that is low in fibre. Something like just some bread, banana, jam and or honey. I mean, why would you have jam and honey though? But yeah, I would go for something like that. Why do we want to do each of these things? Well, a meal 2 to 4 hours beforehand is going to make sure that our glycogen stores are adequate and they're in a position to make sure we're going to be able to be fueling for the race. Going for moderate to low GI carbohydrates has been shown that glycogen usage isn't as great if you opt for the lower GI foods than if you opt for high GI foods 2 to 4 hours away from the session. The reason it's low in fat is because fat slows down digestion and we're not too interested in having it around that time. We start hydrating 2 hours beforehand to ensure we are adequately, or something called hydrated, which means we're at a normal hydration level. So we're neither dehydrated or overhydrated. We have the second bottle to further help with that if we have started off in quite a dehydrated state. Caffeine has been shown significantly to improve performance, cognitive function, reaction time, reduced RPE or rate of perceived exertion, reduced pain threshold, which kind of tie into the same thing, and improved power output. So it is highly proven and shown to improve performance, but needs to be at least 3 milligrams to 6 milligrams per kilogram body weight. The reason we're taking something 5 to 20, 30 minutes beforehand is because it takes around 15 to 20 minutes for blood sugar levels to peak after the ingestion of simple carbohydrates that you're going to be taking in that time period. And that means we're not going to have to take on any carbohydrate during that race if it's under an hour. But also it means that we're going to start that race at a high blood glucose level. And this is really important for Zwift racing because, believe it or not, and many of you probably know this, Zwift racing is full gas from the go. So having that's going to really help you be working hard from the start. Now, if obviously you take it 5 minutes before the start, that's going to be peaking in 10 minutes or so after you've begun. But this is going to be the best lead in to a race that you can do at home. And I hope that's outlined it really easily and really effectively for you guys. Many of you do Zwift racing out there, so if you did like this video, share it with your friends, share it with the people you are racing with, so you can give it the hardest go. Hope you enjoyed this video. As always guys, remember, fuel for the work required. Tune in again soon, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon. Bye.